So I guess we'll just kind of, when I was 12, I became obsessed with extreme dieting and my body image, and that led to a myriad of other problems. My mom eventually took me to the doctor, and they took me to a home to be treated for that, for other things except that, and that kind of made it worse. So, and then again, I said that happened when I was 12. So that was kind of my very first experience with like, wow, you know, sometimes people have really bad problems, and I was realizing, you know, what pain kind of was. By the time I was in 11th grade, about 4 years later, I mean, the mental hospital thing had been ongoing, but I became, I started smoking cigarettes and experimenting with drugs when I was in high school. That was something that I did, and I know it's all kind of like, wow, right in your face, but it actually is super relevant. So, so when I graduated high school, I had a really hard time because the only thing I really had at this time in my life was high school as far as structure goes. It was pretty bad. I need structure. I'm somebody who can't function without it, really. So it's really hard to keep my life manageable. Yeah, I fell at one point. And so in 2011, I had met a man that I liked from the bushes, and I followed him for a while, and then by 2011 he was gone. But he had shown me some things that I could do that actually were the worst. It was the worst experience of my life. I had been using inhalants. Because they were easy to get, and because I was compelled to. So who I am today, a lot of things have happened. Namely, I was baptized. My family's not religious. This is actually the missionary who baptized me. I'm a Mormon, and I met this man on his little bicycle doing this thing, and I don't know, I had an idea about God, but not really specifics, but this worked for me, and I was actually able to become sober after so long of trying, and that was a really good thing for me. And my sobriety date is August 26, 2012, so that's cool. I was baptized September 1st, 2012, and then on August 30th, 2014, I was married in the temple, and that was obviously another big thing for me. And this is I graduated my associates with a 4.0, and I got a national scholarship, so it was actually me and my friend drove down to Olympia to go receive that. So I mean, obviously my life has changed a lot. It's kind of done like a 180. Yeah, ridiculous 180. But so, that's kind of the important part, that what's happened recently, I guess. So this is kind of, this is my ecological perspective. I did American life because I'm an American, but also the Pacific Northwest because I feel like we have our own little corner over here. Particularly recently I've been thinking about seasonal depression because I feel like I'm a little susceptible to that, and it's pretty dark. Friends and family, obviously huge influences, and also my faith. And I put that here because my faith has really kind of brought my life from nothing to something, as far as I feel like a couple of us have talked about needing purpose in our lives. That's my purpose. So that's kind of why it falls so close to me down there. And you know, my faith and what I believe about that, it has a great influence on my behavior, including sobriety. So that's good. So how does that relate? Well, like I said, I do tend to view things through a religious lens first. That's kind of been the solidifying part in my life. So when I think of any situation, my first thing is usually to think through the religious lens. You know, what do I think of this, you know, in that way? And on the other hand, I have done and been through some pretty shady and suspicious things. So it's not like I can't identify with why people use drugs, or you know, why people steal to use drugs, or things like that. it's relatable. So it's like on the one hand, I have this like idea of looking for the very best in people no matter what, and kind of that unconditional positive regard we had talked about earlier, is being able to not only for myself but for others forgive what has happened and move forward. I'm also a fixer. I don't want anybody to ever be unhappy, and so I'll do whatever I have to do to fix people and their problems, and that's not good. So that, oh, and then my espoused way of being. So I put a picture of Jesus, and really, my espoused way of being is to be like Jesus. So in my eyes, I can try that my whole life, and I feel like if I can continue to work towards that, everything else will fall into place, including my professional life. So with all that being said, you know, my standpoint, obviously I've been through a couple different things in my life that kind of influence the way I think about things as a whole. But I'm also keeping in mind that I am very thoughtful and mindful of my faith and my religion, and I also tend to think that every troubled youth that I meet is just like I was, which thankfully is not the case. But learning that has been hard, because I know up until I was like 20 years old, I just thought that everybody thinks like I do. So if I would do it, somebody else would. So I've been trying to understand, like, where does all this fit into my becoming a human services professional, and what have I really taken from this quarter? Honestly, I'm a person. First and foremost is what I've thought, and it's like, yes, I have kind of felt myself transitioning from like recipient of services to like human services professional, and like thinking of things that way and trying to put myself in the perspective of a professional, which is kind of hard. but what I thought really came to with this and over the quarter is that I do need to be mindful of my own predispositions, my tendency to rely on faith and religion, because that's not going to work for everybody, and expecting the worst out of people and out of myself, and kind of just realizing that all these things happen and I need to be mindful of them and learn how to adapt with them to make an effective helping style. That's my